Welcome to Let's Talk Antigonish, the podcast where we sit down with neighbors, experts, and friends to explore the stories, the questions, and the big little issues that shape life in our town, one conversation at a time. This week we're talking about music of the night. Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Talk Antigonish. I'm your host Justin, and guess what? Anuj is gone again. He's back over in India, but he will be back before too long. It's not going to be a 2 or 3 month absence like before. So it's just me all by myself. And this week we are talking about music of the night. Probably something a lot of people in this town have heard of. Many of you have definitely gone to see because it's quite popular. But if you don't know what it is, this is going to be the podcast that explains all about its history, its present, and its future with Jen Priddle. Hello, Jen.
Hello, Justin.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So, music of the night, if you had to explain it in an elevator pitch scenario, what is it?
Music of the Night is a community theater company that was created in 1997 by Brent Bannerman, who was the high school band teacher at the time, and his collaborator, Alan Edmonds. They specifically took this initiative to create this community theater company that would offer opportunity for youth to be on stage.
Okay. So Brent has been part of the high school, right? He's the music director at the high school.
He was the music teacher at the high school.
Okay.
And he became the musical director of Music of the Night, as well as Theater Antigonish, actually, simultaneously. So he was doing that role for both theater companies in town.
Okay. But he started this new one, and the idea was that it was always going to be musicals, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And actually, musical focused, let's say, because at the offset, Music of the Night presented reviews of shows. So, for example, Don't Put Your Daughter on the Stage was one of Music of the Night's shows. So they would generate a theme, and then Brent would select probably anywhere from 25 to 28 favorite show tunes from popular musicals and create a running order thematically within that umbrella. So it began as a review. And I started directing with the company in 2005. I did one review style show with the crew, and then I proposed that we shift gears to doing full feature musicals.
So that was your idea?
It was.
Oh, cool. So you're responsible for all the shows that we've seen over the past 25 years?
Well, no. I wouldn't say that. It was probably a conversation. I mean, that was way back in 2006. So I'm getting old. I would say it was a collaborative conversation for sure. But yeah, we have, Brent and I have been working together now. This is our 13th show. Music of the Night has put on 22 shows in 28 years. Which I think is particularly impressive, Justin, because for a number of those years, the company was nomadic. We didn't have a set venue.
Right.
And when I started directing with the company, the first show that I directed was actually at Silver Glen Estates, up on Mount Cameron in the big barn up there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
We were really, really... we were really, what's the word I'm looking for? Go-getting. Oh, that's not the word, but...
Hustling?
Ambitious. That's the word.
Yep.
There it is. We were really ambitious, and we decided to run a dinner theater in November in a barn. So McGill Refuels that year brought in this massive exterior furnace and just pumped hot air into the barn to keep everybody warm. Anywho, there have been shows at the junior high school. There have been shows in Immaculata.
Yep, I've seen it in those two places. And then your current location, which is, actually, you should probably talk about that because that has a new name. It's at the high school. What is it?
Yes, it's the Eleanor Mutimer Theater. So formerly known as the AV Room. It's almost like trying to get the new last name after you've been married, really catch that thing on.
You could hyphenate it like AV Eleanor Mutimer.
Please don't start that.
So so people who've gone to the high school would know that as the AV Room. It's essentially a little theater.
It is. And it's not really that little. I mean, it has a 250 seat capacity.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting stage. because it's long and narrow, wide and narrow, I would say. But it has been so nice for us as a company because, again, in all those other years, we started centering the show in our own space 3 years ago. Excuse me. So previous to that, we were rehearsing the show at the high school in our space, in the theater there. And then we would pack it up and move it over to our performance venue, which was like, 2.5 times the work of what already is an exceptional amount of work. So
yeah, these are large shows. So lots of people have probably seen it who are listening, but maybe some have not. So when we're talking about a musical, how many people would you say on average for a production are involved on stage and behind the stage?
Our productions, we do tend to cast largely. There have been exceptionally large casts. We had 80 actors once upon a time when we did Hairspray, which is absolutely crazy.
Just to put, like, there's only a few thousand people that are in this town. 80 actors is like a significant chunk of the population that you've now had on stage for our show. That's intense.
Yes. So we've whittled that down. So we're sitting at about 35, which I feel is a healthy number.
Huge. It's a huge number.
From ages 10 up through, I won't even say, older.
Don't want to out anyone.
Correct. Well, we have some retirees in the cast as well.
Sure.
Maybe so I'll plant it that way, or paint the picture that way. So everything in between. Typically, Justin, we have around 100 people working on this show.
Wow.
Between the actors out front, our technical staff, our creative team, front of house staff, yes, wardrobe. Yeah.
So that's 100 people, and you're doing how many shows usually a run these days?
We do 8 shows with one pay what you can preview.
That's a lot.
And something that I often will bring this up in conversation because, again, I would say the general populace doesn't know this, but in order to put on a full musical like this, you have to buy the rights. And you have to purchase those rights before you even advertise your auditions, in fact.
So you're that, and what is, like, you're doing, it was Anne of Green Gables last year. This year is Into the Woods. Like, what do these shows cost for this sort of community theater to
Typically
buy?
around $10,000.
That's an intensely large amount of money.
It is. So the investment of choosing the show, of really just putting your line out there, casting your line to see, do we have the right group of performers locally to do this particular show, to pull this show off. You are really, you're rolling the dice.
Yeah. And these are all volunteer people. Like there's you're not pulling people in professionally. So the money you get on ticket sales must then be going to pay for the rights, obviously. But where does the rest of it go? I know it's a fundraiser, but what's going on?
The show, again, at its inception, so I guess I should correct myself and say Brent and Alan Edmonds, their goal was to create a performance opportunity for youth. And then the funds raised from that project were donated to the Dr. John Hugh Gillis band program to purchase instruments, sheet music, to support students going to play on band trips or going to music festivals, things like that. So that has been longstanding tradition and legacy, and we are still doing the same. So we cover our costs.
Yeah.
We're also incredibly fortunate, Justin. We have so much support from local businesses. When you come see the show, you'll have the opportunity to leaf through our very, bountiful program.
Yeah.
And it's very apparent the kind of support that we receive from businesses. And for me, I look at things like that as a snapshot. And you said, like earlier, many people in this township, they know about Music of the Night. This is true. And I feel the same way, like the Casket as the local newspaper. It gave you that feeling of a hub of community. And as someone who works, in the driver's seat of this company, I feel that. I feel that this is a community staple in the interactions that I have with people, in the response to our show announcement back in June, or, I posted, I take care of all of our online promotional materials, and less than 48 hours ago, I shared our promotional video shot and crafted by the
David
incredible
Overmars.
David Overmars. It has over 10,000 views in
That's a
less
lot.
than 48 hours. And again, like those are signs for me of community investment. And I'm so grateful for that. There's just kind of this warmth around what we do. I feel like we're held by
Yeah,
the
for sure.
people here.
It is, yeah, it is a name everyone's familiar with, but people who aren't like super local theater nerds are probably familiar with lots of different names of community theaters. So you have Music of the Night, you have the Ships of 1801 folks,
Yes.
and of course Theater Antigonish, and these are all also community theater groups, and they are. I always have the impression they're kind of feeding into each other because
You
they're-
will definitely, in our show, you were going to see a beautiful representation of actors that an audience person would have experienced in any of those three companies.
Yeah.
I can also say, like, we are very grateful that there's a lovely organic supportive relationship happening with Theater Antigonish, where we're sharing actors, but also they've been very generous with wardrobe, with supporting us with some technical components that we don't own ourselves. So it feels really lovely to know that there is this, once again, like a team feeling in the community
That's-
of local performance inventory, if you will. Like I cannot get over sitting in the audience seat. Last night I had this moment again, because now we're ready to launch this thing out into the world. So I start thinking about the show more from an audience perspective than my directorial one. And I'm sitting there and I thought, it is actually crazy that there is this much talent in this little town.
Yeah. So let's speak to that. So yeah, so we've established what Music of the Night is and what you've been up to. So let's talk about the current upcoming production, and then we can talk about how it all came together, and that will show people how productions in the past also came together.
Sure.
But I went to see the Pay What You Can last night, and it's, of course, I'm sort of theater nerdy myself, and it was filled with like everyone I know and like. But I also walked away with this same impression of like, this is obscene. The percentage of people on the stage who are like essentially professional or could be professional if they wanted to in terms of acting and singing ability, it does not seem like it belongs in a small town in the middle of rural Nova Scotia. This seems like something you get in a city where you have a lot of actors who have skill sets like this, and yet here we are, little old Antigonish, and like some of those people are like, yeah, that guy could be on Broadway for sure. So what?
Without question.
Yeah. What's
And
going on?
to your point, I will just add this. I have a very good friend who is a professional actor in Toronto, and we get to have a visit probably once every year or 2 years. And when I'm talking about the culture of what we're doing in this town, the performing arts culture of Antigonish, and the projects that I'm working on, I'll always kind of squeeze in there, I know it's an amateur production, however, blah, 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 blah. And finally one day he stopped me and he's like, okay, listen, lady, stop prefacing with that. Like, stop labeling it. He said, almost every professional actor got their start in community theater. And sometimes you go to these productions that are community level and they are absolutely at a professional ranking, like they're carrying that stature. So he's like, do away with that. And so you're right. Like, we do have this incredible blend of actual professionals, retired professionals, folks who 100% could have gone a professional route, but didn't for whatever reason.
Yeah, they picked another path, but they still have the chops to do this.
You got it. And so watching them, and that again is one of my big takeaways in the past few days. I was saying this to a couple of the actors last night after the show, watching them throw the ball back and forth. Like, you can so actively see how they are feeding off each other. And I've watched folks, their skill set elevate in the past 2 months. Because there are these bars that are set, and there's so much trust in the room that those offers are being met.
Yeah.
It's definitely a yes and space.
That's awesome.
For sure.
And there's also the pit band. So the band, there's like this live music. It's fully live music, which is again impressive. It could have been piped in, but no, that's not the point of this, especially with Brent involved. But talk about those people, because again, there's people in that band that I know who are also professionally trained professional musicians, as well as like young students. So who are those people?
That is, again, like I get a little sentimental, Justin. I won't lie.
Imagine.
I know. But again, I have kind of these snapshots that I keep banking in my own personal archives, and I love that moment when the pit band arrives, because what you see behind the curtain is you see Brent Bannerman, creator of this project for almost 3 decades, still so deeply invested.
Yep.
You see current band students
Right.
playing
High school kids.
Correct. Playing alongside community members, some of whom have moved to Antigonish from spaces where they played in symphonies and orchestras in major cities, for example, and haven't had the opportunity to do that again until they got asked to come and play in this little pit. You also have current St. FX music students who are in the jazz program.
Yep.
And then you have some of their professors.
That's right.
Who happen to be former students of Brent Bannerman, who went through the actual band program at the high school, that they are now participating in a fundraiser to support. So like that beautiful life cycle that's happening. And so that same organic mentorship that's happening on stage, it's happening backstage as well.
Yeah, like my pal Jake Canlin, he went to school here. He was in Brent's band program. He's now a professor and a professional jazz guitarist at St. FX. And he always says, like, yeah, I'd love to go back and help out the band, because like that's where I started, and he's paying it back. And like that's the mentality both on stage and in the pit, which is I think why the caliber is punching above its weight. It's not just because you've got that feeder system of people, and you also have St. FX here. I mean, it's helpful having a university with a music program right there,
without question.
So let's talk then Into the Woods. So that is this year's show. So first of all, how do you and Brent decide picking these shows? Do you have some sort of system for picking? I mean, I bet some of it is financial. Like you can't just be like, I'm going to do like a current Broadway show, because you couldn't have.
Well, you actually can't.
Yeah.
So there are many show titles that are unavailable for rental.
Right.
Because they are currently on Broadway.
Currently on stage. But you could, one of the more famous ones, like I bet you can't afford some of them, I imagine.
So perhaps we haven't run into that problem yet, I will say.
All right.
When you hop onto Concord Theatricals or Musical Theater International onto their websites and their catalogs, it'll show you what's available and what is not.
Okay.
And then your rate is calculated based on how many performances you're doing, what's the number of seats you have, where are you, all of that kind of thing. So Into the Woods this year, we did Anne of Green Gables last year, which was a family favorite.
Oh yeah, that was like well attended, sold out. Everyone knows that.
The whole run was sold out.
Yeah. The
previous year we did School of Rock, also that entire run sold out.
Awesome.
But School of Rock again is a very contemporary reference. I would argue it's kind of a modern cult classic, of the past 20 years. So when we had our meeting in June, Brent and myself and Helen Bannerman, our producer, we all went into our meeting with a list of our top 5 picks.
Oh.
And there were some commonalities in our choices, but I was the one who pitched Into the Woods. And I knew that Brent Bannerman's eyes would pop out of his head, which they did, because this show is renowned for being so musically dynamic and complex.
Yes, Brent, I've talked to him about this. Like, it's an exciting show for him because there's a lot of complexity. There's lots of things for him to figure out. I think he likes learning they're doing difficult things.
It has intimidated him.
Yes, that's the impression I got. He's like, there's some chords in there I didn't know existed. He was joking.
And he wouldn't mind that I said that. It is an intimidating show, and as soon as we chose the show and secured the rights, he immediately started learning the material.
Yeah.
So he spent 2 months training ahead of the show. Ahead of our auditions so that he would feel competent, and he is still feeling challenged by it. You're not wrong.
That's cool.
Because he is not only directing the band, but he's the pianist as well.
Yeah.
So he's playing this challenging music while conducting the 15-piece pit orchestra behind the stage.
So it was a show that you all picked together because you were like, well, this is the time for this. This is going to be great. We all know, and people do. It is a popular show. People know it. It won a lot of awards. It's from the late 80s. So I think musical theater nerds especially are super into it.
And I definitely, Justin, do not feel compelled to program shows based on, is there a full feature Hollywood version of this?
Yeah.
And I had actually forgotten when I was looking at the titles that exists, but it does.
That's true. There is
Meryl Streep, James Corden, like
Not too
Emily
long ago.
Blunt. These are not small humans in the world.
Yeah.
I will say the stage production drives more humor than the full feature Hollywood film does.
Fair. Yeah, there was some very funny bits in this, I have to say. Now, how much? Okay, you're the director, so you can decide to add silly bits or take away silly bits. So, when you are directing a show like this, how does your approach change based on the fact that you're putting it on here, you know who your audience is going to be, so you can make it funnier or maybe even make a local reference or do something. Does that enter into it?
So some of the factors, no one's ever asked me this question, so thanks. One of the things I will tell you is I never watch other productions. I don't like doing that. I don't want to feel influenced by the way it was done in, London at this time or some revival production.
Okay.
I like to have a clean slate. I like to come into the space and really feed off the talent that's in the room, and the experience in the room. So that is my approach. And also, we have certain limitations in the space. Like we're not going to bring in a horse.
That's true.
When it's time for the prince to roll on into Cinderella's house. So finding dynamic and quirky ways to compensate for some of the space limitations is definitely one of the variables that needs to be considered. We have a lot of improv artists in the show this year.
Yes, I know a lot of the people, and I'm sure they probably make offers in the sense that while they're trying out their part, they will try something a little different or zany, and you say yes or no to that.
Yes, exactly.
That's got to be fun.
And so, coming back to our previous point, having that high caliber of experience in the room, it allows for some trust there between the director and those actors to again, like, let's play through the scene a little bit, see what you find. I'll give you feedback. And the other thing is, like, I've worked with different directors, and every director has their own style for sure. There are directors who are very committed to being the driver of the bus. I like to share my kitchen space a little bit. Okay. So and of course there's a boundary to that. You can't have too many cooks in the kitchen, but I do like to invite. I welcome some feedback and contribution from the actors also. Alistair Lanyon is making his stage debut, which is hard to believe because he looks like he's been up there for ages.
Mr. Lanyon, for anyone out in Maryvale, he's a teacher out that way, so the kids would know him. Actually, he's been around in Antigonish for a long time. He was out the east, I think.
Correct.
So
he's sensational.
He's phenomenal on stage. He's as entertaining in real life as he is on stage.
Fact. So, he approached me, at one point in a rehearsal break and said, I know that you're struggling with, I won't try to impersonate his beautiful Scottish accent. But he's like, I'm just wondering if we just add a little Monty Python in there, and he came in the next rehearsal with coconuts.
I know that. Yeah.
Buddy, so good.
Quality.
So those are like warm and loving offers. And I appreciate that exchange. And again, like, I can remember I started doing community theater when I was 8, and my first director was he was open to receiving those offers. And then my next director, and I just assumed because I did 4 shows with him that's just the way that works in a rehearsal hall. And then I moved and I worked with a new director, and she bit my head off the second I was like, hi, I wonder if I decided to come in from this
and
wing.
She's like, don't talk. No.
So yeah, that is my, I guess, leadership style in the space. So there's some nice contributions that come from our communal and collective creativity as well.
We have to wrap up soon, so let's get some details about the show. First of all, what are you excited for people to see and experience, and then give us the details about when and where and all that.
One of the things I've been thinking about a lot in the past few weeks is legacy.
Interesting.
And part of that is looking at my collaborator, Brent, who's been doing this for so long. And you see this legacy of what has been built. And we have this creative team, again, of volunteers. Justin, I think about that a lot too. I'm like, these folks are putting in a full day at work, grabbing the quickest bite to eat, and then landing to do this monstrous project.
People with full-time jobs or full-time students.
With full heart and soul. Like, no one is rolling in there saying, oh yeah, no, it was a really rough day, so I'm only, giving, I'm at 20% battery, Jen. No, they're coming in full send every single time. So when I see this creative team that we have, that they are feeling more competent, that they're very valued, and I mean Helen and I both try so hard to make sure that they know the degree to which we are grateful for this kind of effort, because they take on full-time jobs, really, you know, and we're working in a timeline that is only 2.5 months. Like, it's a monstrous thing to build in that short period of time. So I see the caliber of what we have been offering the public rising over the past few years. That's because our core team has remained consistent. They're getting better at their jobs. We're getting better at working together, all of that kind of thing. And then also, we just recently lost a friend from the theater community who was working on this project and who is revered across Canada as one of the leading stage managers that any professional theater outfit would want to get their hands on. Shaw Festival, Stratford, and this longtime friend who'd been struggling with some severe health issues reached out and asked to be a part of this project. And he said, like, my whole life has been my health for 2 years. That's not who I am, and I need to get back to that. And experiencing him really coming back to himself by putting his hands on this project was really a very powerful thing to witness. And that is sitting with me very deeply as we do this project. I'm thinking, I saw this person like come back to life by being in a rehearsal hall again. And so I've been thinking about, like, what does theater mean to me? What does it mean to community? I watch these little actors that we are harvesting. I'm so proud of them. I'm proud of the big ones too. I'm proud of Alistair. I do have like big mama bear feelings about the fact that I'm watching all this growth in this space, and I'm watching how safe it is. I'm watching how much care and love is exchanged authentically between these people. It is a very genuine space. Yeah. And it is my space of congregation, and I'm so grateful for that. And, in the throes and in the thick of it, which is where we've been, it's very stressful. It is insanely stressful. It's, one of the biggest deadlines to carry and make sure that all the moving parts are going to sink in and be ready at the same launch point. But I see what it's feeding, and I feel so honored to be a part of that. And I feel the legacy of theater in myself, in my family, in the world, in this community, of what Music of the Night has built and continues to build. So I feel grateful for all of those things. So and I really do feel, because I am an emotional person, as you well know, I do feel this, that the second you walk in that space, you can feel the kind of care that has gone into this show from the stakeholders. I feel like it's the theater itself is vibrating. For sure.
There's an obvious energy. It's loaded with lots of actual people involved with the show, so it's literally all around you.
Correct.
Yeah. And
so the show is opening tonight.
It's opening tonight, but there's very few tickets left. This is the issue with this show, is you're going to need to get your tickets early because they do sell out.
I think there are 7 tickets left for tonight. So we have tonight at 7, tomorrow at 2:00, again tomorrow evening at 7. We're going to wrap up the weekend on Sunday with a 2:00 matinee.
Yeah.
And then we do the whole thing again next weekend. So we got Friday night, 2 shows Saturday, and we close the show with a Sunday matinee next weekend.
Awesome.
Tickets can be purchased at $5 to $1 or online. So if you head over to our Facebook page, you'll find the link there posted in various manifestations.
Okay, so just find Music of the Night on Facebook. They're there. Or, walk into the $5 to $1, get the traditional physical ticket. It's still a thing. Fantastic. And I've seen the show. I think you will be amazed and floored at, like we're talking about, the talent, the complexity of the show and the music and the talent that it can actually pull it off. It's pretty phenomenal. Plus the set and the costumes, pretty phenomenal.
I do want to flag before we wrap, because you mentioned this to me last night, and you're not wrong. When I have been sharing with some of my friends and colleagues in the theater world that we are mounting this show, this production of Into the Woods, the first question is, are you doing the whole show?
Oh, right.
And the answer is yes. But just to expand on that, there are many companies that approach producing this show that only tackle Act 1. So Act 1 really is the telling. Well, it's 5 different fairy tales that intersect, and we watch these fairy tale characters propose what their wish is at the top of the show, and then we see them pursue it, and we see them attain those wishes.
Yes.
By the end of Act 1. So we arrive at a happily ever after. But it is the narrator's final line at the end of Act 1 is "to be continued."
Yes. So this is a known phenomenon with the show, is like it has the intermission and it feels like it's wrapped up, but actually there's a whole second act, and the idea is what happens after happily ever after. So if you feel like the show might be over at intermission, do not leave. Come back, because there's a lot more happening.
Correct.
Yes. So.
And I also want to say that we've programmed more matinees this year to make the show more accessible to younger families. And there is plenty of show in Act 1. So
certainly is.
If you were feeling like, oh, I want to take my kids, but I don't know if they could sit through the whole thing.
Oh, good point.
Then, because myself, like when I had 3 little ones, I was very active in taking them to see performing arts opportunities in the community, but I was also very realistic to say, and we'll only stay for the first half, and then we'll leave it intermission. So
it's a good show for that.
Correct. Exactly. This is my point. So the first act is 1 hour and 20 minutes. That's the length of a movie, that a child would be used to sitting for that amount of time. So they would definitely get their full ticket's worth even within the first act.
Ooh, good point.
If you're above the age of 9, you should stay for the second act.
All right. Well, I wish you best of luck with the opening tonight at Break a Leg.
Thank you.
And everyone should. Everyone is. I don't have to tell people to go see this because it always sells out. So I'm going to tell people to be fast to get your tickets ahead of time.
Get them for the first weekend. And the Santa Claus parade, the Christmas parade, the holiday parade is postponed.
That's right.
It's supposed
Sunday
to be tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So everybody should be free now.
Yeah.
Evening. But a lot of people wait to get their tickets for the second weekend and regret it. So
so don't wait.
Get them now and secure your spot for sure.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in to talk about this. I know you're very busy, obviously, and you probably have to leave soon to go to the show. So I won't keep you any longer.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Jen. Bye. Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Antigonish. If you like the podcast, don't hesitate to subscribe. Just go to letstalkantigonish.ca and click. Voila! You'll receive new episodes right in your email inbox.
This podcast is a labor of love. Please consider making a contribution, small or large. Maybe a monthly subscription. Depending on the level of public support, we would like to engage local producers and journalists to create more regular deep dive news stories about life here in Antigonish.
Right now, it's just Anuj and I doing this in our free time. You can read all about the podcast and ways to support us at letstalkantigonish.ca. And if you're a local business that wants to sponsor the podcast or even place an audio ad, we are certainly not opposed. A huge thank you to all of our subscribers, and especially our paid subscribers, which have helped us to buy the audio equipment that we needed to get this thing off the ground. And remember to get in touch with us if you have an idea for a future episode or a burning question about life in Antigonish that you want us to explore and get answers to. We welcome all feedback. Just email us at letstalkantigonish@gmail.com. Let's talk, Antigonish.